All right, what's going on, everybody? Let me fix up my camera real quick, straighten that up a little bit. A little crooked, it'll work, right? But hey, good evening. Welcome back to another Gridiron Expert live stream again. I just want to give everybody another major thank you for showing up last night, showing up and showing out for our big 10,000 subscriber celebration. Last night was a lot of fun. Enjoyed getting to hear from everybody. Enjoys getting to obviously talk ball, but also getting to reminisce a little bit on how we got to this point, and just the love that not only we have for the channel, but really enjoyed seeing the love that you guys have for the channel too. Which again, the channel wouldn't exist without people like you. So thank you guys so much for a great celebration last night. But today we are here to specifically talk ball. The celebration, it's come and gone. Hopefully we'll have another big one soon. But today we're going to be talking, taking your questions and your comments. Obviously, we're going to talk about some potential upsets that could be happening. In week 3. A couple games that you need to watch out for that could maybe be flying under the radar. We kind of talked about that yesterday with our week 3 predictions, but still a couple more that we're going to discuss here today that we've already have set up. And then obviously, again, we want to hear from you. So major shout out to Hunter5657. Good to see you. Flying Blind, big time Arkansas fan. We're going to hit your comment here soon as well. SBO Kennels, CCD. Re-Upload Central, I love it. Red Vet 91, of course, my man Sam, Georgia DM. He says no suit and tie. It's an instant on unfollow. Man, hey. We dressed up really nice for the celebration yesterday. We dressed for the occasion. Today we're going a little casual. Got to go a little casual today. And no call-ins. And I'll tell you why. We looked into that. So what we did, we don't like giving out our direct number, obviously, here on YouTube, because, that's, I'm sure you can imagine that would pose some problems. We get too many people texting us or calling us when we're off the air. So we did have a backup number, obviously. That's what we used for previous call-in shows. Had some issues with that today that weren't, we were working on it all day, that weren't able to get it fixed. But we should hopefully have it with either a new number or this old one. Should have it fixed up by next week. So next Tuesday and next Wednesday, when we do these nightly live streams, hopefully we will have our call-in show. We can kind of split it down the middle, half chat, half calls. So no call-ins today, unfortunately, but should have that really ready to go next week. And it's been a pain. It was really frustrating. I was really hoping to have that set up by this week, but it didn't work. But Sam, appreciate you. Thanks for showing up. Thank you for your support, and keep killing it over on Instagram again. If you guys don't already, follow Sam on Instagram at AllCFB. Man, best college football page on the gram. 100%, no doubt about it. So again, major shout out to everybody here. I want to make sure that we get to everybody's comments throughout the night, which we typically do. So we'll make sure to do that, and then obviously touch on the topics that we have lined up for you. CCD, thank you so much, man, for that super chat. Thank you. It's just my twin. Where's the tuxedo? I'll tell you one thing. I haven't worn. Being completely honest with you, I haven't worn a tuxedo in years. I mean, maybe since I was like really little, when I was in a wedding for a family member. It was a long time ago, and I'm telling you, I would kill to get back in one. We love to suit up, and so whether with just the button down, a blazer, throwing a tie, throwing the full suit, but for a full tux, like a James Bond-esque, suit. It's been a long time since I've donned one of those. Maybe one day we'll just go out there, rent a tuxedo, and show up to one of these live streams, and it's going to blow you out of the water. You're going to be like, what's he going to wear today? It's kind of a mystery, right? Is he going to go polo? Is he going to go suit? Is he going to go button down? And then one day, boom, it's a tuxedo. Well, holy cow. So I love it. Thank you very much. CCD, though, again, for the super chat, though. Again, guys, super chat's always on. We appreciate every single bit of it. $1, $2, $10. Dave and Cash Money are throwing out the big bucks traditionally and typically, and we appreciate them so much. But again, all of that is funneled right back into the channel, and no amount is small. No amount is unworthy or anything like that. So we really appreciate it. Blue Rooster, good to see you. Dude's looking like a young Christopher Reeve. Thanks, right? Maybe. They appreciate it. All right, let me take a couple questions real quick before we jump into these upsets. SBO Kennels, again, salute to you. Flying Blind, crazy thing about Arkansas is that Kendall Briles has not completely opened up the offense. He hasn't needed to with how they're dominating the run game. Again, Razorbacks Obviously, another very solid run game. And you know what's crazy about that too, Flying Blind, is the fact that not only are they dominating the ground game, they're doing it without what was supposed to be their running back one, their RB1, in Dominique Johnson. So they've been doing it with DeBinion. They've been doing it with Rocket Sanders and A.J. Green, and obviously the ability of K.J. Jefferson to run the ball. Dominique Johnson was supposed to be the number one running back on the depth chart. He hasn't been healthy yet. And he might come back this week against Missouri State. They might hold off because the Razorbacks should, keyword is should, dominate that game. You never know. Might save him for Texas A&M the week after. That's when things are going to get interesting and really important for Arkansas. But, across the board, yeah, I think there's a lot that we've yet to see. We haven't seen KJ take these shots downfield. We really haven't seen the passing game really open things up. That's one thing that I've always been frustrated with watching Arkansas and Kendall Briles is the fact that I don't feel like they air it out as much as they should because KJ is a really good passer. And typically when they go deep, it works. But you're right, they haven't had to. They probably won't have too much against Missouri State too, which makes you wonder how many tricks does Briles have up his sleeves and what are they going to really pull out when they take on A&M in 2 weeks? That's what I'm more interested in. So great point and very scary to think the Razorbacks haven't even seen their arguably best running back yet. Out there on the field. Let's see here. Hunter, how did my fantasy football draft go? Honestly, pretty good. I'm in 2 leagues now. I got Cooper Kupp in both, so I was very happy about that. Got some decent quarterbacks. I got Tom Brady in both. Got Aaron Rodgers in another as a backup. Derek Carr in there. Running backs are solid. I think I've got Derrick Henry in one. The beauty of it, I like larger leagues, I really do. When I play fantasy football, I enjoy larger leagues because I think there's more parity. It's tougher, more competition. But the perk to having a smaller league, around 6 to 8 members, is you can pretty much stack your team. You find a way to really load up on some talent. And also, it's fun playing with members that don't entirely know what they're doing because the strategy guys, maybe we'll disagree here, but the strategy in fantasy football is you got to load up on your running backs and wide receivers because you think about it, especially in the PPR league, your top wide receivers like a Cooper Kupp, a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase, those guys can single-handedly carry you through the entire game. Defenses typically can be changed out every single week if you want. Unless you've got a really, really good one like the Bucs defense or maybe the Bills defense, something like that, typically can switch those out every week. Quarterbacks typically can be thrown out every week unless you have someone dominant like Mahomes or maybe Lamar Jackson or, Joe Burrow if you thought, well, he was terrible this last week against the Steelers. But you get what I'm saying. Running backs and wide receivers, typically you can't be like, yeah, I'm going to pick up an elite one off the waiver. I'm a free agent. You can't necessarily do that often. So running backs and wide receivers are the key. Then later in the later rounds, that's when you go after your defense and your kicker and your quarterbacks because ultimately you're going to see all that's going to fall into place. And when you're in a bind, you can quickly find one of those off the waiver wire. Always can do that. Also, all depends on matchups too. Always depends on matchups. Flo, good to see you. Glad you're here, man. Glad you're able to join the video tonight. Same with Monster Jam's Finest. Appreciate you. Glad you're here. SBO Kennels, Vanderbilt upsets Northern Illinois. Well, that's not going to be one of our upsets we talk about today. But if you can even call it yes, Dave, I'm sorry, Josh Allen. My mistake. Yes, Joe Burrow, Mahomes, Jackson, Josh Allen, obviously. I knew I was forgetting one. But I wouldn't call Vanderbilt over Northern Illinois an upset necessarily. They're underdogs. So based on the point spread, yes, it would be an upset. But I really think Vanderbilt's the better team there. It's interesting and confusing to see Vanderbilt as an underdog to Northern Illinois. I don't know if it's because they were upset with how they played against Wake Forest. I don't know if it's because Northern Illinois has home field advantage. I don't know if they're basing that off of Mike Wright's poor performance against Wake Forest. But regardless, I think he's going to bounce back. I think they've got a very solid backup at Vandy if needed. It's just interesting to me to see them as an underdog. This was a team that went all the way to Hawaii, and yes, Hawaii is very, very bad, but it was an 8-9 point favorite at Hawaii. Now facing a Northern Illinois team that's really not that great, has been outgained in both of their games so far this year, and they're an underdog. Something just doesn't add up there. So I wouldn't call it an upset, but I do think Vanderbilt will win that game. This is a good question from Sam. I really like this one here. Could you envision some of A&M's freshman class transferring if they continue losing games? I really could. Here's the thing. Jimbo did a good job recruiting these players. Well, I take that back, Sam. Yes, I could, but also, how much are they getting paid? That's something that you got to keep in mind, too. You get this big 5-star recruit coming in there. How much are they getting paid at Texas A&M? If they aren't getting paid nearly enough and another school in the SEC or whatever can pay them more, yeah, they'll leave. Because bottom line is this. Jimbo came out there and recruited these players to come win in the SEC. He said, we're going to win. Look, in those last year, we just beat Alabama. We just beat Alabama in College Station. So if you come, we can do it consistently. We can do it more. Come help us. Win the West. Make the playoff. Okay, sounds good. Now you just lost to App State. And again, how bad is A&M about to crumble? How bad are they about to fall apart? If they lose to Miami on Saturday, which is a very real possibility, I think A&M does a tailspin and their season's over. And not just like, we're going to win out over 10-2, over meaning no more playoff, over meaning maybe a Liberty Bowl appearance. That's how bad it could get for Texas A&M. Because you lose 2 non-conference games. Let's keep that in mind. A&M will have lost 2 non-conference games. After Miami, it's Arkansas. Then it's Mississippi State in Starkville, who they lost to in College Station last year. Then it's Alabama. Major emotions there in Tuscaloosa. They go to South Carolina, who's improving in year 2 under Shane Beamer. They've still got Ole Miss. They still got LSU. Don't know what to expect from them. Still got LSU. Still got Auburn. Don't know what to expect from them. But they got the entire SEC West left ahead of them. And if they lose to Miami, like we mentioned in our live stream last night, there's a possibility that A&M could start the year 1-5. And then you start to question, what do you do? What happens in that scenario? When will A&M realize enough is enough? Are they going to fire Jimbo? Probably not. But will they let go of Jimbo? Are players going to give up? Are players going to transfer out? And they go, we can't win here. We're tired of going consistently 8-4. And if you go 1-5, you're not going to win 8 games. You might be lucky just to go win 6. So many things in there where these players certainly deserve better. And I could see them bolting College Station for better opportunities, even if it's at a lesser school, because for them it's, I'll get better playing time at this school, and at least at this school, while I might not be playing in the SEC, at least we're going to win. Something to think about. So yeah, I really could. I think this Miami game on Saturday is much bigger than people realize for Texas A&M. Big for Miami too, in the sense that they can beat A&M. It shows they can get a quality win over an SEC team on the national stage and make them relevant on the national stage. People will start taking them seriously and maybe a playoff contender if you want to be, because they're definitely the favorite in the Coastal right now. But I don't think people realize how important this is for A&M and that their whole season could hinge on this one game. Because if they lose, they're 1-2, and again, those next 3 games, they will not be favored in. They will not be favored against Arkansas, Mississippi State, or Alabama. They'll be underdogs in all 3. Very well could lose all 3. We actually do, in our predictions, have them losing all 3. I didn't have them losing to Miami or App State. So I think the whole fate of A&M's season, I really feel like, and the trajectory of the season relies on Saturday night in College Station. What is A&M going to do? And it could really, guys, be a matter of changing quarterbacks. Maybe all you need to do is just take out Haynes King and stick in Connor Weigman or Max Johnson, who I thought should have won the job anyways over Haynes King. So who knows? But the Aggies are quite the anomaly, guys, and eventually the boosters and the administration and the fans are going to be fed up with him. Jimbo Fisher, they're going to be fed up with him, and they're going to have to let him go. Players will start to do that too. Great question, though. I love that. Dark Knight 369. Do I have any thoughts about Nebraska and potential candidates? Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second, actually. We will talk about that here shortly, because that's a good point. I will not forget about that. Trust me. Chanman, Texas Tech could low-key beat NC State. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. Don't worry, we will. Let's see here. Mike Myrick, what's going on? Your Florida State Seminoles looking really, really good. Very excited to see them on Friday night when they play Louisville. So, very pumped for that game. And Mike, man, 3-0. If y'all can get to 3-0, what a start under Mike Norvell, who does, in fact, he's got you. Hashtag Mike got us. So, Mike, appreciate y'all and all the support, man. Thanks for being here. And go Noles, baby. Go Noles. We'll see how they do on Friday. I'm really excited for that game. Eddie, thank you for that comment about Gary Pinkel almost taking you guys to 2 national championships. Very, very true, because if they had defeated, who was it? Was it Auburn in that 2013 SEC championship game, they probably would have made the national championship. Wasn't like fifth in the country. Wasn't like number 3 Auburn and number 5 Missouri. So if they beat Auburn in the SEC title game, they probably go to the national championship. So Pinko got him close there. Then he got him close back a while back. I can't remember what year that was. Was it the 07 year, the 08 year, something like that, where Pinko got him close as well. So you're right. No other Missouri coach has never done that, and I can guarantee you that Eli Drinkwitz will never do that. Promise you that. Let's see here. Sam says there's absolutely no chance that Georgia loses to South Carolina, and I do agree with that. Definitely no chance that happens. Let's see. Hunter went to Charlotte for the Browns-Panthers game. That's awesome. That is awesome. Very, very nice. That was a great game. Cade York, right, hitting like the 58-yard field goal for the win to ruin Baker Mayfield's little revenge game. Yeah, that was awesome. Great game. Glad you got to be there for that. Let's see. Let's see here. Elite the Falcon. Kansas has their best team in over a decade. I don't think they get blown out by Houston. Guess we'll see. Houston, I think, is a little bit overrated. They struggled against UTSA, lost to Texas Tech, what was supposed to be maybe the best group of 5 team in the country. Already has a loss. And right now, the best group of 5 team in the country could be App State or Marshall for now. Long ways to go, though. Neo, good to see you, man. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here, man. Now, I'm about to jump into our thing here. I do want to thank Dave, of course. He said, if you don't have our picks, you're nuts. He's won a ton off of them. Doesn't know the money, but it's just $50, $60. 10 picks per week for $50. Again, anybody that bets or again just wants to support the channel, again, go check out the expert picks. Dave, thank you for promoting that very much, and thank you for becoming part of the team with that. Really appreciate that. Again, the expert picks guys are fantastic. We really are doing really well with those. Hitting over 65% of our bets so far this season, beating out over 80% of the national analysts each of the last 4 years. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Again, 10 picks every single week for college, 5 picks every single week for the NFL. Those are our packages there. It's a year-long subscription, so if you buy now, you get it through week 3 of next season. So it's not like it's just it's not like you waited too late. You get it for a full 365 days. And again, some of the most accurate picks in the country. And guys, that not only benefits you with these expert picks, you can win a lot through these expert picks, but it benefits our channel. It goes a long way. So, maybe you don't want to do a super chat. Maybe you don't want to do a Cashapp or a Venmo or anything like that. Buy the expert picks because you're still getting something out of it. You're winning with these picks. Remember what we said. If we can reach 100 of these expert pick sales. Right now, we are slowly on pace for that. A little bit behind, but not too much. I think we can make it up. If we can reach 100 of those sales, guys, this year, we will have the biggest and best live stream that the Gridiron Expert has ever had right here on the channel, plus a little something extra. So we've got something really big and special in store for you guys, but only if we can get to that 100 through the expert pick. So help us get there, win some money through our picks. It's a great little deal. Obviously, you get your major return on the investment for $60 if you buy the combo, $40 for a singular. You get that money back like that. We promise you. We guarantee it. We never had a losing record. We're not going to have one this year. Can guarantee it. So get Dave. Thank you for that. And again, guys, last thing I want to do promoting that as well and promoting the channel is help us share the videos, man. I'm telling you guys, the biggest way we can grow this channel, like we were talking about last night with our big 10K celebration, is through word of mouth, right? It's through just spreading the word. We do a lot here through YouTube. The analytics help us. So hitting that like button, if you haven't done that already, do that. The likes, the comments, the views, they help us big time. But you guys sharing it through your social media, sharing it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you use, going to school or going to work and emailing a link of our video to multiple people. Whatever it is, it helps us out tremendously. Every subscriber counts, every viewer counts, and that's how we grow, is word of mouth. That's how we continue to build our community and our family here at the Gridiron Expert. So help us out, guys. Word of mouth is key. All it takes is just a few seconds to take this link or any video link that we've posted. Maybe it's about your team. Maybe it's about some big upset that we got correct. Whatever you want to do, and share it. Share it on forums. Share it on social media. Share it, wherever you need to do it. That's how we grow. That's how we grow. And again, we didn't get to 10,000 solely on us, right? We got to 10,000 because of your help, your dedication to our channel, and your love for our channel. It's like our love for our channel. So help us out with that, guys. Check out the expert picks. Check out the super chat. But most importantly, check out our channel and help it grow by spreading the word. Share the videos, share the content. That is how we take off. That's how we do it. We say that in every single video. We always say, well, like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And we mean that. We mean that. Share it, share it, share it. It helps a lot. Our good friend Will Lou was on the stream last night. He shared his on Instagram last night. I put that out on his Instagram story. We got a few new subscribers from him, so we really appreciate him spreading the word. Scotty B, the Baylor King, does a really good job of promoting us on his Instagram as well. So help us out, guys. Just every little bit helps us grow. Just want to make sure we get that plug in there. Let's see here. Love that comment right there by Sam as well. That Kansas, where was it? Crazy to think about them that they're 2-0. What do I give Kansas to be ranked at any point this season? Pretty slim for Kansas to be ranked this year, right? They would really have to. I mean, they're 2-0. They would need to beat Houston. Then who do they have after Houston? It's like TCU. So maybe if they go undefeated in the month of September, so 4-0, they could be getting votes or be like 24th, 25th. Even that would be pushing it because who would be their best win? Houston? They beat a growing, improving, rebuilding TCU team, beat West Virginia. I don't know if either of those really speak volumes. No ranked wins. Houston would probably be their best. Still impressive, and they'd be getting votes at 4-0, but it would take a lot. But if you're Kansas, man, you got to be happy with this. I mean, if you're Kansas, you're 2-0. They won 3 games last year. They were 2-10, 3-9 last year. So if you can just get to 4 or 5 wins, flirt with bowl eligibility, as a Kansas fan, I think I'd be happy. And obviously, as a Kansas fan, you're just looking to be competitive. I think for many programs, you get tired of if you're going through a bad stretch, you're tired of turning off your team at halftime or at the end of the first quarter, or waking up on a Saturday morning going, yeah, we play today, but we're going to get killed, so why do we want to watch? Why do we want to go to the game? Well, Kansas, I think, is slowly getting away from that. They're giving the Jayhawks some faith. So while I don't think they're going to be ranked, percent chance, like maybe 5%, that might be kind of high, honestly. It's a very slim chance, but a bowl game, if they keep playing this way, is not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, I think TCU is beatable. We predicted that win. Houston looks beatable, so a 4-0 start would be huge. They're not to the level of beating Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Baylor. They get to host Texas. Watch out. They get to host Texas towards the end of the year. They beat them last year in Austin, so you never know. But once they get into Big 12 conference play, and they've already beaten West Virginia, if they beat TCU, well, then there's only 7 teams left. I don't think they play all of them. Who else could they take down, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Baylor, all probably out of the equation. Texas Tech, I don't know. I can't remember if they play them this year. Maybe could be factored into the equation, but there just aren't many options there for Kansas, I think, skill level wise, to pull off enough upsets to get them to go bowling. But 4 or 5 wins would be a heck of a year for them. 100%. Jerry Turner, what is the game of the week for this week? Honestly, my game of the week is Oregon BYU, and the prediction for that game comes out tomorrow. We have an in-depth analysis on Oregon BYU right here on the channel tomorrow at 1 p.m. That's our game of the week. Over the likes of like Miami, Texas A&M. Those are the only 2 ranked versus ranked matchups we have this week, and I think that Oregon BYU game is going to be the better of the 2. Both will be fun to watch, but that's the better of the 2. So that would be our game of the week. Let's see. The Noles played at FCS and just got past LSU, like everyone named Anthony Richardson the Heisman. Very true. I mean, Florida State. I mean, again, look, we're not saying they're going to be national title contenders and win the ACC, but I was telling Mike last year, this is a team that had lost to Jacksonville State around this point. So they actually were able to beat their FCS team this time. Still got a win over an SEC opponent, who I think LSU, while they're not going to be great, will be mediocre this year. Still will be a quality win for Florida State. I mean, do you think they would have beat LSU last year or the year before? Probably not, right? I mean, this Florida State team, while they haven't beat anybody huge yet, has clearly shown more potential and improvement than they had last year. They're in a much different spot. The culture seems to have changed. The mindset seems to have changed. Things need to be trending in the right direction for the Seminoles, and that's kind of what we were saying with that comment. B. Ames 6 says Penn State by 13 against Auburn. Book it. Wow. Dave says no way. A couple other people say no way. But, whew, wow. 13 points, almost 2 touchdowns. That'd be impressive. Gare Bear with Gary the Snail as his profile picture. I love it. Hey, thank you very much for that, man. Thank you for the 10,000. I appreciate it. Do I think Arkansas will make the playoff? Talk to me after the Alabama game. I can give you my take on that. If Arkansas beats Alabama, the dream of making the playoff is absolutely alive. If Arkansas falls to Alabama, it's not ruined, but it's very, very unlikely. And that's how much the Alabama game weighs for the Razorbacks. Again, Arkansas needs to be undefeated heading into Alabama. That would set up a top 10, probably top 8 showdown in Fayetteville, one of the biggest games in Razorback history. And Arkansas has a shot to take down Bama. I mean, I really do. You look at Arkansas last year. Almost took down Bama in Tuscaloosa, losing by 7, 42-35. They'd have the home crowd on their side. It would most likely be the 2:30 CBS game on October 1st. I mean, the season relies on that Alabama game for Arkansas if they beat Missouri State and if they beat Texas A&M. They need to be 4-0. If you beat Alabama, Arkansas is a top 4 team in the country, which is insane to say. The problem is they've got, after that, 3 straight road games. They have to be able to navigate those. The month of November is very feasible. The month of November is Liberty, LSU, Ole Miss, and Missouri. And all of those are at home with the exception of Missouri. Problem is, after Alabama, Arkansas goes to Mississippi State, to BYU, gets a bye week, and then goes to Auburn. 3 very, very difficult road games. So Arkansas could be 5-0, riding high into the top 4, but can they navigate that schedule? And if you're Arkansas, you're really hoping that if you're going to slip, if you're 5-0, you're hoping that if you're going to lose a game in that 3-game stretch, you're hoping it's to BYU because it's not a conference loss. And you're hoping that BYU keeps winning so that if you lose to a top 15 BYU team on the road, it doesn't hurt you that much. You lose to a quality opponent on the road, and it's not a conference loss. So the door isn't back open for Alabama to sneak into the SEC championship or anything. You still own the tiebreaker over A&M. You own the tiebreaker over Alabama. And then who's Arkansas's next biggest threat in the SEC West? Nobody. Ole Miss, maybe. And the Razorbacks should have won that game last year, and they get to host the Rebels this year in Fayetteville. So, again, I don't think they're going to make the playoff, but if they beat Alabama, we'll start talking because the possibility is there for Arkansas to get to the playoffs and get to that Final Four, win the SEC championship or win the SEC West, but they've got to be, as for every team, they've got to beat Alabama, and they can't afford another bad slip-up in conference, whether that's to the Aggies, Mississippi State, Auburn. They just can't afford it. But again, if they beat Alabama and their only loss heading into the month of November is to BYU, if they even have a loss at all, watch out. Watch out. Arkansas could get there. They really could. And that's crazy to think about. Some great questions here. And we're finally going to get to what we're here to talk about, I promise. Wow. Great viewers, though. Thank you guys all. Again, if you are here in the chat, most of you guys in the chat are, but if you are watching at that and have not been a part of our GE Nation, go check out our videos, guys. For the 41 viewers that are watching right now, for the viewers that will watch later on, first off, hit that like button. Hit that like button and help us out. That helps out our analytics. But subscribe to us. Become a part of our GE Nation, guys. We are building something very special. Just celebrated a 10,000 subscriber celebration yesterday. We don't get there without you guys. So become a part of something special that we're growing here. Become a part of the family. It's a nation. It's a family that loves college football. We eat, sleep, breathe it. We love college football, and we want you to become a part of that. We wouldn't think you'd be watching this and talking with us or watching these videos if you didn't like college football or didn't have the urge to learn more about college football. Yeah, maybe you don't know that much about it. Well, guess what? You're in the right spot if you want to learn. If you want to get into sports, you want to get into college football, this is going to be the place for you too. So become a part of the nation, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button if you haven't already. And again, word of mouth. That's how we grow. Spread the word about our channel any way possible. Social media, emails, posters, actually just word of mouth. Whatever you got to do, help us grow. We're going to do our part right here at home. right here where we are in Arkansas. But if we can get it going nationwide with all you guys, that'd be even better. Hunter, who do I think will win the quarterback battle between Clemson, Cade Klubnik or DJ Uiagalelei? It should be Cade. It should be Cade. If he that transforms Clemson's entire offense. DJ with him under center, it is stagnant. It's bad. But Cade is more mobile and he can make throws that DJ would never be able to make. So he's got Dabo Swinney has to make that quarterback change soon before the schedule gets really tough for Clemson. They need to make sure they do that. Let's see. Neo, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the 10,000. Congratulations. I really thank you. Paxton, same for you. Said he's been watching for a long time. Many of you guys have. I love knowing how long you guys have been watching. Some have said they've been here since the beginning. Some since we had 2,000 subscribers. We get some people that go, I've been watching you since, yesterday. Awesome. We love it. We just want to keep growing, man. We don't care how long you've been watching. Obviously, the people that have been here forever, we appreciate you. But the guys that start new and that haven't been here for long, we love you guys too and are pumped that you're here. So Paxton, thank you. And New Mexico Noah, thank you very much too. Hey, no worries, man. It happens. I get sometimes these times people get busy. But we really appreciate you being here as well. And for that, congratulations. And we know you're a vital part, man. We know you're a vital part of the nation and the channel, and glad to hear things are going well out in New Mexico State, man. Let's see. Gare Bear, can BYU surprise this weekend against Oregon? 100% they can. 100% BYU can surprise and beat Oregon on Saturday afternoon for sure. Tyler Campbell, good to see you. The Virginia Tech defense is stiff, which is what we expected, right? Isn't that what we expected from Brent Pry? But yes, the Hokies bad loss to Old Dominion, good bounce back win against Boston College. Dave, if I could pick one player to start a college team with, who would I choose? Right now or like ever? That would be the question. If it's a current player now or just like period. That would make it a little bit tougher. But good question there. All right, I'm going to jump into our upset alert real quick. We've been talking for over 30 minutes. I haven't even gotten into some potential upsets. So that'll, I'm sure, spark some more discussion and some debate. And as we go through this, guys, don't worry. We will be coming back to the chat and addressing as many questions and comments as we can. So don't leave. Don't leave. If you want to hear your question answered, if you want to get your comment answered, don't leave because we're going to get to it. I promise. But for now, let's talk about some teams that could possibly be on upset alert. And again, we're not going to talk about every game. We're not going to talk about every potential upset. But what classifies an upset, right? For us today, we are looking at teams that are double-digit underdogs. We are taking a look at teams that are 10-point underdogs or more on Saturday, and whether or not they could possibly beat the team they're underdogs to. What teams are on upset alert? Who could be maybe a solid play? Let's get into it. How about Oklahoma and Nebraska? How about this one? Oklahoma. Let's keep in mind one thing, guys. You want to know why this one's kind of scary? Well, it's because Oklahoma opened as a 16-point favorite against Nebraska, and now, last time I checked, it has gone all the way down to 11 points. So it has dropped 5 points. And why is that? Why is that? Why are we taking a team that just fired their head coach, just allowed nearly 700 yards of offense to Georgia Southern, and they're getting some love from the odds makers? Well, here's why. Here's why. There is something to be said for teams getting fired up when their coach gets fired, right? That's one thing. It's also another thing, too, where you look at the mindset of these players, right? You look at it and you go, these players maybe gave up on Scott Frost, but now they're under new management. If I'm a Nebraska player, too, no one thought Nebraska was going to win the Big Ten West. No one had them going to the playoff or anything like that. All Nebraska needed to do was go bowling. They just need to get to a bowl game, win 6 games. They got one. They've got one. We're 3 weeks into the year. Long road ahead for the Cornhuskers, right? A lot of football left to be played. So the season, the goal of getting to the postseason is far from over. And so Nebraska, with one of the most faithful fan bases in all of college football, gets to host a top 10 team in Oklahoma, who, Oklahoma, by the way, will be having their first big test under Brent Venables. They've played 2 cupcake teams, both at home in Norman. Now they're playing the most difficult test they faced yet on the road in front of thousands and thousands of screaming fans that are very excited that Scott Frost is gone. Very excited about that. So why is Oklahoma and Nebraska a potential upset alert? Because everything we just said. Nebraska's fired up. The players are fired up. They're going to be ready to still have a chance to upset a top 10 team in the country. Old Big 12 rivalry game. And it's a new era for Nebraska football. While the interim is not going to be their head coach forever, the possibility of getting to a bowl game is still within reach. And the Cornhusker players and faithful know that. They're not just going to roll over and give up for the last, 9, 10 games of the year. They're ready to go. They're ready to play. Watch out for a potential upset, not just in the spread. Nebraska maybe not just covering, but maybe even winning outright. Again, take a look at that one. All right, how about another one? It's the site of College game day. Troy and App State. Troy and App State. What about this game, right? So, this is one of those really tough games where, Appalachian State is, high off their win over Texas A&M. And because of that win over Texas A&M, College game day decides to go all the way out to Boone, North Carolina. They're kind of rewarding them for that upset, although there weren't too many marquee matchups this week anyways. They didn't go to Oregon for BYU Oregon. They definitely weren't going to Texas A&M since they just lost to App State. So a lot of, for me, in this game, it's a lot of outside noise surrounding App State, right? Everybody's telling them how good they are and that they should be ranked. They're riding high off that upset. Game day's there, so everybody's psyched about that. The focus has to be on a Troy team that had some of the most returning experience and production in the entire country. I think they had like 17 or 18 starters coming back in 2022. So they're experienced. They've got a very stingy and underrated defense, solid quarterback play. First-year head coach, sure, but how great would it be for a first-year head coach in Troy to walk into Boone, spoil all the festivities, and go, hey, congrats, you beat Texas A&M, a top 10 team, but you can't even beat Troy at home. You thought you deserved to be ranked? Yeah, think again. We're going to send you right back down to show you that maybe last week was a fluke. Who knows? But watch out for Troy. They're about a 12-point underdog going into this game. Would not surprise me in the slightest to see them not only cover, possibly, but again, win this game outright. Don't sleep on the Trojans of Troy. Possible upset there. All right, another one. Someone asked us about this game earlier in the live stream. Going to it now. Texas Tech, North Carolina State. That is a potential upset. The Red Raiders are about a 10-point underdog to the Wolfpack. And that's something kind of scary to think about too. Because here's the thing. Texas Tech has a quality win. NC State does not. Texas Tech just last week took down Houston in, double overtime? And everybody kind of freaked out about Tyler Shugg getting injured for Texas Tech, but I really thought Donovan Smith should have been the starter from the get-go. Should have been the starter from the beginning. And he's proving himself right. He's proving himself the rightful starter. Tyler Shugg, when he comes back from injury, probably won't end up being getting his job back. Probably not going to happen. So watch out for the Red Raiders, guys. Again, they beat Houston, who was a top 25 team at the time. NC State barely survived against ECU, and then, of course, crushed Charleston Southern, as they should. But great quarterback battle between Donovan Smith and Devin Leary. It's one of those things where can Texas Tech's offense exploit NC State's defense, which is really, really strong. Really, really strong. Watch out for that. Watch out for that. So I'm telling you, if Donovan Smith gets going and NC State can't contain his dual threat capability, things could get not ugly. I wouldn't say ugly, but Texas Tech could pull off the upset. Again, they have a quality win. North Carolina State doesn't really have that. The downside, again, is NC State's defense and home field advantage that could be the difference maker for the Wolfpack and could make it rough for Joey McGuire's squad. But credit to him, guys, for having such a great offense and doing really well. Fresh off to his 2-0 start, which is what we predicted. The road could get a little bit tougher, though, as the interconference play. Sam, appreciate you in that super chat, man. The banana. I love it. It's got a banana on there. He goes, best dollar I've ever spent. So thank you, Sam, for that. I think it was CCD earlier that hooked us up with the super chat. So thank you both very, very much for that. Again, Every single bit, guys. Goes a long, long way. So thank you. All right. And we've got one more game on our upset alert. We've talked about Oklahoma and Nebraska. Potentially a Nebraska upset there. Talked about Troy and App State, a potential Troy upset there. Just talked about NC State and Texas Tech and a potential Texas Tech upset there. Hey, I didn't say Texas Tech's going to win this game, all right? I in the video we put out yesterday, I said North Carolina State will win this game. We said that. I'm just saying that they should be on upset alert. They've gotten all this preseason hype about maybe making the playoff and winning the ACC and being really good. They fell in the rankings because of that narrow victory over ECU. Now they're playing a Power 5 opponent who has a good offense. Better watch out. Dave says NC State's going to roll. I think they are going to win, but watch out for the Red Raiders, guys. That offense is dangerous. And the last game here. Unfortunately, Graham, not UTSA at Texas. Almost threw that one on there, but you're right. And we'll talk on that in a second. So not UTSA and Texas. It is Fresno State and USC. Again, double-digit underdog, Fresno State, about a 12-point underdog, taking on the 7th-ranked team in the country. How about that? Why is this an upset alert? Why are we saying a potential Mountain West team who just lost to Oregon State could take down USC? Why? Well, this little guy called Jake Haener, one of the best quarterbacks in the country for Fresno State. Dude can light you up. And what is the one thing that we've all been talking about with USC? It's the fact that they don't have a defense. Let me give you an example. I think it was last week. I don't know the exact number. It was like over 400 yards of offense to Stanford. USC beat Stanford 41-28. Beat them by 13 points. Solid win, right? Look at the box score a little bit closer, right? Stanford had over 400 yards of offense. Their offense was pretty rough last year with the exception of Tanner McKee, who again carried them again. Over 400 yards. Stanford also committed 4 turnovers. And, if Stanford doesn't commit those turnovers, very good chance they could have beaten USC. Only a 2-possession game. So some would say, well, they forced 4 turnovers. That's because USC's defense is great. Not really. Not really. I mean, yeah, everybody can get a couple turnovers here and there, right? Not completely sold on USC's defense being changed for the better. You're facing one of the best offenses in the country. Jeff Tedford, Jake Haener, Jordan Mims, all those guys are there for the Bulldogs that can score really, really fast. And again, they're not afraid to play anybody. Last year almost beat Oregon. Last year did beat UCLA as a ranked team. UCLA getting all that hype. They were like, 13th in the country, right? When Jake Haener walked in there and beat them in the Rose Bowl. So this is one of those things where I think late night out on the West Coast, a little Pac-12 after dark action, even though it's not a Pac-12 matchup, you could see a top 10 team fall to Fresno State as they could be a Pac-12 opponent for the second year in a row because that offense is good enough to match USC step for step. And that's what we've been saying. It's USC, the defense isn't great. They're going to rely so heavily on their offense with Caleb Williams and Travis Dye and Jordan Addison and guys like that. If you have the offensive capability to match them step for step, either that or you've got one of the best defenses in the country, like maybe Georgia, and can just shut down that team, you can beat USC. But if you don't have that, if you don't have an offense that can match them step for step, and you don't have a defense that's that great, which Fresno State does have a pretty solid defense, then you're screwed, to put it bluntly. Fresno State's got it all, guys. 12-point underdog, could upset USC, could cover, and easily this game could hit the over. I think last time I checked it was close to 75 points. Talk about a really high over, but that's to be expected with 2 of the most prolific offenses in the nation. So that wraps up, guys, our upset alert. We will talk about Texas and UTSA here in a second. I'm going to scroll back up and make sure to hit everybody in their comments up in the chat. Definitely will make sure I get to that. But that kind of addresses our upset alert. Again, just to recap, the 4 teams that we talked about today that are double-digit underdogs that could pull off a major win. Nebraska over the 6th-ranked team in the country in Oklahoma. That's an 11 o'clock game on Saturday. Troy over App State. App State defeated the 6th-ranked team in the country last week in Texas A&M, and they are hosting College Game Day on Saturday. NC State, what are they, like 16th, taking on Texas Tech. The Red Raiders could upset this top 20 team on the road. And then, of course, Fresno State taking on the 7th ranked team in the country in USC, a 12-point underdog, but they have the offense to match the Trojans step for step and possibly pull off a major upset that would do one of two things, really. It would first off prove to me that USC is a tad bit overrated, as we know. We've got USC ranked 17th in our top 25. If that tells you anything. 7th in the AP poll, 17th in the GE poll. Think about that. Something doesn't add up there. Secondly, Fresno State defeats USC, and that single-handedly could end the Pac-12 college football playoff hopes. Really could. Some would say that one loss doesn't ruin you. I think for USC, one loss to Fresno State would. The strength of schedule in the Pac-12 simply isn't there for the remainder of these teams. But, USC still has to play Utah. Oregon would still have to play Utah later on. So, I'm not necessarily ruling it out. Kind of depends on how the rest of the country fares. But the top 3 teams in the Pac-12, Oregon, USC, and Utah, would all have one loss 3 weeks into the year if USC were to fall to Fresno State. So think about that. That's how big that Fresno State game is and how sneaky it could be too. So keep that in mind. All right. That was the upset alert. That was kind of a main reason we wanted to, one thing we really wanted to get to tonight. I'm going to scroll back up, hit some of the chat, see where we are. And let's just find it. So Paxton, I scrolled right up. The first thing I saw, Paxton said, your thoughts on Texas Tech, NC State? There you go. Just talked about it. Let's see. I like Sam's question. If they played tomorrow, how would you see an Alabama-Georgia game shaping out? Georgia, man. I really would. I'd be picking Georgia to win that game. Jerry agrees. I really do. I think Georgia would not manhandle. That's probably pretty strong, but Alabama didn't look good. Let's just put it bluntly. We all know that. They didn't look good against Texas. They struggled. Blame that on penalties. Blame that on missed opportunities. Whatever. Bottom line is they struggled. Georgia's playing some good ball, man. Stetson Bennett, he was getting a bunch of hate kind of early part of last year. As Sam, you and I have talked about, looks like a Heisman contender, man. He looks good. He's putting up big-time numbers. I expect even bigger numbers this Saturday against South Carolina, a very depleted South Carolina defense. So Alabama's secondary was a major area of concern last year. They've improved a little bit this year, but they were kind of getting torn apart by Quinn Ewers before he went down with an injury. So I think Stetson Bennett would be able to put up some big numbers against Alabama's defense. Georgia's physical. They know they can beat Bama now. I think for a while it was kind of in their head. It was like, we lost the Natty a few years ago. We've lost, multiple SEC championships to them. When are we finally going to get over the hump and beat Alabama? And winning that national championship last year did that. Finally broke the national championship curse, but also broke that Bama curse and showed, Saban and Alabama, they're not invincible, and we can do it. So if they were to play tomorrow, I would be picking Georgia for sure. I really would. And I surprised some people. A lot of people call me a Bama homer for some reason. I don't know why. I'm the furthest thing from it, but 100% would be picking the dogs in that one. Dion Thacker says, gridiron expert, more like gridiron, very knowledgeable. What a burn. What a really big, harsh burn. Dion, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. I don't know. Is very knowledgeable better than an expert? I don't know. Are they synonyms? Do they count as the same? I'm not sure. You decide. Let the fans decide. I don't know. But I love it. Let's see. Ty Halpern, is Mario Cristobal overrated? He seems like he always plays down to his opponent. He's not overrated as a recruiter. He recruits extremely well. I'll give him that. He brought in some big recruits at Oregon. He's doing very well at Miami. Will continue to do so at Miami. It does feel like he plays down to his opponents at times. What's the biggest win he had at Oregon, right? He won a couple Pac-12 titles. Didn't he win the Rose Bowl over Wisconsin? That was a big one. But not too many big-time wins. When Oregon, maybe beat Ohio State last year. So I wouldn't say he always plays down to his opponents. I'd say I think it's not even a matter of playing down. I think it's a matter of finishing. I think because Mario Cristobal has had Oregon in positions to win the Pac-12 championship and be in a spot to get to the college football playoff, and that was multiple, like last year. They were in that position, fell to Stanford. Okay, no big deal. Back in that position and got blown out by Utah. So it just kind of feels like they, it just kind of feels like he's unable to finish the job. We can start strong, we're going to peter out towards the end, just like they did last year, just like they did in that COVID year when they fell to Iowa State in the Fiesta Bowl. I mean, just so many opportunities that Oregon has had that he was unable to take advantage of, but he has won some big games. So I wouldn't say that he plays down his opponents. And I wouldn't say he's overrated. I'd say he's about right where people have him ranked. But again, his time in Miami will be very telling. This is an opportunity to see what he truly is made of. ACC and Pac-12, I'd say relatively even. ACC probably a little bit tougher than the Pac-12, playing the likes of and I know they're not in the same division, but you got Clemson in there, you got Florida State in there. Obviously, they play every year. North Carolina, Virginia Tech's coming back. NC State, Wake Forest. ACC is growing; they're getting more competitive, and so his time in Miami will be telling to see can he win an ACC title there. Because I feel like if he can win an ACC title there as a one-loss team, well, they could be in the playoff, and that's something he never was able to do at Oregon. All right. Hunter said he's been here since 700 subs. Ghost of, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Gurulatus? He's been here since way back in September of 2022. I love it. See, that's what I'm talking about. We've had guys that have been here for years, and then we've got guys that have been here just this month. What was it, September 15th? 14th? September 14th? And so he's been here for maybe 2 weeks, maybe less than that, and I love it. So, hey. That's all good. Who cares, man? We love it. We love it. Old, new, in the middle, all very valued and important members of the GE Nation. Just like Graham Brooks here. Graham's been here forever, and he says every week ESPN and the AP are the Soy Jacks, and GE is the Chad. I like that too. I think that's a really good comment. I'm going to have to go back. What I like to do, what I need to start doing is go back and just scroll through the comments when they're over, when the stream's over. Take pictures of these and start sharing them on social media. I'm telling you, because these are really, really good. I need to make sure I go do that because we get some good stuff. So Graham, I appreciate you, man. Really pumped to see some more Clemson ball, and I appreciate you and all your support, man. All right, let's see. What else? We talked about Nebraska and Oklahoma. Nebraska has to quit playing so soft. Hopefully that'll change with Scott Frost gone. Georgia Tech just needs to fire Jeff Collins. Complete joke. I fully agree. Jeff Collins is an absolute joke. And I think, honestly, his fate's been sealed. Georgia Tech, they're 1-1. You look at the box scores again, got blown out by Clemson. People will say it's a moral victory because they hung with Clemson for like 3 quarters before blowing it. Okay, sure. No, it's not, but whatever. And then last week against Western Carolina, they got outgained in yardage. I'm pretty sure they were outgained in yardage. Relied on a couple turnovers that put them in a position to really pull away in that game. They only won 35-17, so it really wasn't that great. But yes, Jeff Collins is bad, man. He's a standoffish coach. He's really never built a relationship with his players or the media. He was in way too over his head. It was a questionable hire from the beginning, bringing him in from Temple. You just hate to see it. You just hate to see it. But again, kind of something we talked about yesterday, the day before. It's hard to replace a legend. Paul Johnson was a legend at Georgia Tech. The way they ran that triple option, the years they had under him, got all the way to a New Year's Six bowl game in 2014, won the Orange Bowl over Mississippi State. Georgia Tech had some fun football teams to watch, and a lot of that was contributed not just their style of play, but the coach and the program that Johnson was running. So when he leaves and they get rid of him and he's gone, and a new guy comes in and tries to completely transform it, the style of play. It's one of those things. People were so patient with Jeff Collins too. It was like, we know we're transitioning from the spread to more of a pro style spread offense, whatever. We know it's going to take time. We don't expect success in year 1. Okay, year 1, go 3-9, and then he goes, okay, well, year 2 we should be better, right? Right. Well, no, it looked like they could be. They beat Florida State in the season opener. That was in that COVID year. We go, wow, we just won in Tallahassee. Holy cow, maybe we'll be decent this year. Now 3-9 again. Oh, okay. Then last year, this is the year. Year 3, that's when coaches start to take off 3-9 again. They just can't catch a break. And so I'm surprised they've kept him around this long. 9 wins in 3 years. You're 1-1 now. So you just got your 10th win at Georgia Tech. Congratulations. And the year's only going to get worse from here. Ole Miss should murder them on Saturday. And I would say that should be the end of the Collins era, but I'm sure they'll wait till probably the end of the year or closer to the end of the year before they finally get rid of him. Graham Brooks, UTSA at Texas without Quinn Ewers. The game against the Roadrunners could be a letdown after barely losing to Alabama. And that's a really good question and a good comment. And that is one that we almost put on there as a double-digit underdog that could pull off the win. Here's the thing. You're right. The emotions running through Texas right now they're probably still hurting and stinging a little bit from knowing they were that close to being 2-0, nationally ranked, probably in the top 10, knowing how the AP poll works, and we're so close to being the number one team in the country. And you blew every chance you had to win that game, and in the process, you lost your star young quarterback, Quinn Ewers. UTSA's over here; they're 1-1, almost beat Houston in week 1, went on the road and beat Army in week 2. That's not an easy feat. Now they get the honor of playing Texas in Austin. Their style of play is tough to account for. Frank Harris has been pretty good at quarterback, dual threat QB. Got some really speedy wide receivers out there. Traylon Smith transferring in from Arkansas, down there with Jeff Traylor, who a couple years ago was the running backs coach with Arkansas and was a fantastic recruiter, and that's paid off with the Roadrunners. I don't think they're going to have enough to take down Texas because I think a lot of people are overestimating or overselling the injury to Quinn Ewers. You got a guy in Hudson Card who is no Quinn Ewers. He's not as good, but was the starter last year. He's got experience, and he's not bad. Let's keep that in mind. He's not a bad quarterback. So I think he'll be able to deliver, and I really don't know how UTSA is going to be able to account for Bijan Robinson. I think he's going to have a pretty big day against the Roadrunners. Again, it's a pretty low spread, about 12, 13 points. Wouldn't be surprised to see him cover that, but I just don't think they're going to have enough to win that game. UTSA beats Texas, and the Longhorns go from almost being 2-0 to 1-2. Watch out. People are going to start calling for Sarkisian's head. Right now, they're like, hey, man, we improved. You almost beat Nick Saban. You almost beat the number one team in the country. And they're ranked. They're 21st. Shouldn't be ranked, but 21st in the country. You lose that game, yeah, they're going to be fed up with you. They're going to be fed up, and he'll probably be gone. There'd be two really bad losses in back-to-back years, Kansas and UTSA. That's just naming a couple. Let's see what else we have here. Dave saying Stanford just sucks. It's a dinosaur team. Get into the new college game. I'm telling you, you got to change with the times. The way you can be stuck in your ways. You can be stubborn, and you can be adamant about not changing how you operate. But you do that, sometimes you get left behind in the dust. College football is an ever-changing game. David Shaw has run a fantastic program at Stanford. I'm a huge fan of him. But we mentioned in the preseason, we said this could be the last year for him if Stanford goes 3-9, 4-8, really just fails to make a bowl game. It's very possible that could be the case. They looked okay against USC, but that was also a bad USC defense. How will they fare against the rest of the Pac-12? If they fail to go bowling, Stanford might get rid of him to bring in someone new that's going to be able to adjust with the times and maybe a new era for Stanford football, as the Pac-12 seems to be pretty much, just a done deal and should be here in a few years. Let's see. Yeah, New Mexico Noah, great point. Haener is a tough dude. You'll never forget seeing him injured and limping onto the field to throw the game-winning touchdown to UCLA. Yeah, he was so banged up, man. And just what I liked most about that was not just his toughness and dedication to his teammates and to getting that win. So he throws the game-winning touchdown, and then you just see him fall to his knees, and the raw emotion coming out of Jake Haener was just a mixture of excitement, yes, we just did that, we just won the game, but also just the tears, because he's hurting, he's feeling the pain, so just all the range of emotions from the pain that he's going through, from the excitement that he just, the adrenaline, everything going through his body and his mind in that moment. I mean, that right there, I think, was the epitome of college football and the emotions and the impact that it has on the players. I mean, us as fans, we're at home, we're watching that, we're probably doing the same motions as Jake Haener, but we're certainly not feeling the same way as Jake Haener was feeling in that moment. And so it was a great example of how great this game is, how beautiful and emotional this game is, and really just shows what these players go through every single week. I mean, really putting their body on the line to do everything they can to get their team a win. And that's exactly what Jake Haener did. And that was one of my favorite moments of last season. I mean, win over a top 15 team on the road, final minutes, putting on a clinic I mean, Hayner's a guy that I can see playing at the next level and being really, really good at that next level because he's one of the best quarterbacks for me in the entire country. And as Dave said, Hayner truly is a baller, 100%. Let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, Swiss whiskey. That's a good point too. Imagine what Sean Clark could do with 50-something blue chips. Yeah, look. I love Sean Clark, man. That'd be pretty dangerous, right? I mean, can you imagine how good he'd be if you had all that talent in there over at App State? I get confused sometimes with Sean Clark and Sean Elliott, spelled the exact same way. Elliott, of course, at Georgia State, and I love his passion and enthusiasm and what he's done with the Panthers. But Sean Clark over at App State, he just won, last few years, and I know it hasn't all been under Sean Clark, but again, a couple of years ago, they almost took down Tennessee at Neyland Stadium. That was when Tennessee was ranked number 9. A couple of years ago, I think it was 2018, they almost took down Penn State. Penn State was like number 8. That was in Happy Valley. This year, they do take down the 6th-ranked team in the country in Texas A&M. And Sean Clark continued. Last year, they took down Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina was the year before, was the nation's darling. It surprised everybody. Top 25 team. App State takes them down and kind of really didn't spell the end of Coastal Carolina football. They're still good, but they were still, I think Coastal Carolina was riding that high and thought, we're invincible. Like, no one can beat us in the Sun Belt, and App State did. So you give Sean Clark 50-something blue chips, you give him some players, some dogs, watch out. Watch out. And Sean, App State has just kind of been a breeding ground for, coaches to take that next step. Scott Satterfield did such a good job, went to Louisville, didn't do very well, hasn't done very well at Louisville, but it's an opportunity for him to take that next step and get there. And I'm trying to remember who was before Scott Satterfield. There was somebody else. It's probably very obvious that I'm forgetting who was coach before Scott Satterfield, but he obviously took a better opportunity as well. So Sean Clark, he'll probably be there very soon to that Power 5 level, I would imagine. And getting a quality win like that over Texas A&M, those are the wins that get those Power 5 coaches to that next level. That's how they do it. That's what gets them there. I mean, when you take down a top 10 team, I mean, look at Clay Helton. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to go get a Power 5 job because he was already there at USC, but that win over Nebraska is saying, hey, I just, it sounds horrible, but I just beat a Power 5 team on their turf with these players. You don't want to say these players and like they're terrible, but if I can win consistently at Georgia Southern, if I can win consistently at App State, if I can win consistently at, Houston or Cincinnati or wherever, a place where we do get some decent talent, but we don't have nearly as much money and we don't have nearly as good of players as Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, guys like that. But if I can win at these smaller schools, imagine what I can do for your school. That's the selling point. That's the whole selling point. Billy Napier, prime example. I mean, Billy Napier winning consistently at Louisiana. Doing pretty dang good there. 12, 13 win seasons consistently. Now he's at Florida. Upsets Utah, lays an egg against Kentucky, but first game, already took down a top 10 team, has blue chip players, has big time recruits. Don't know how it'll pan out for him. Still very, very young, but right now off to a pretty solid start. So yeah, great point, great question. I love that. Hunter Shin, good to see you, man. Go Virginia Tech, and thank you so much for the 10,000, man. I appreciate that. Talk about a guy that's been here for a long time also. We were talking about Graham. We've talked about Hunter, 5657. We're also talking about Hunter Shin. Man, your kind words and support, man, they don't go unnoticed and truly mean a lot. So thank you so much for being here, Hunter, and thank you for that. Thank you, Jerry, for those kind words. Best expert in the country for college football, man. Appreciate you. That means a lot. It means a lot. That's the goal. That's the goal, is to be the number one source and to keep growing our nation and keep growing our business and keep growing our family here, man. We love talking ball. We love sharing predictions. We love sharing analysis. We love being right. We love winning. But the ultimate goal is to be there for you guys and to provide you guys with that content. So, Jerry, I really do appreciate that. And thank you for all your support, man. Same for you, Logan Elliott. Good to see you. Glad you're here. All right. Let's keep scrolling. Let's see. Neo's been watching for about 2 years. Swiss Whiskey's been subscribed for a couple months. He likes the Arkansas content. Well, plenty more Arkansas content. I got you. But he said he didn't realize we did live videos. So, and as Dave said, we gotta end up changing that up. We gotta promote more. If you didn't realize we did live videos, we gotta advertise that more. And again, that's what we try to do. We try to promote more on Instagram. That's kind of fallen off. But we're trying to do more on Twitter. I think that's kind of we like to live tweet during games. We tweet during games. We sometimes promote our videos on Twitter. So if you're not following us there, go check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert. Link for that in the description. Everything can be found in every video description. I mean, really, you have a question, can probably be answered there. Although we don't mind doing it for you. We love talking. But the expert picks, again, trying to reach 100 of those sales guys by the end of the college football season. Help us get that. God, how amazing that would be, not just for our channel, but for you guys to not only make some money, but to get some pretty special content that we can do here on the channel. And that content can happen through the Expert Picks subscription. So, but we promote that down in the description below. That's on our website. Again, thegridironexpert.com. The numbers really speak for themselves, beating out over 80% of the national analysts every single year. But that can be found there. Our social media handles can be found there. Our partnership with Prize Picks can be found there. That significantly impacts our channel and helps us out big too. Other links can be found there too for other college football content and things that help our channel. And again, there's opportunities for you guys to get more content and to help the nation grow. So we'll make sure to promote more for these live videos so you guys don't miss out on those. 100%. We gotta pick that up for sure. Definitely got to pick that up. But college football, hold on. College football is like Christmas, Eddie says. I like that. Very true. There's nothing more exciting than, just trying to go to sleep the day before football or the day before your team has a big game. It's pretty tough. It's really tough. So yeah, 100% on that. I love it. Scrolling down, we're still catching up on some stuff. Although I think we're getting pretty close. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But major shout out real quick to BGPO Football Funk. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for that super chat donation. Again, guys, it's always on. Helps us out big time. Every bit counts. But thank you for loving our show. Thank you very much. It's only going to get bigger and better from here. So thank you very much. And Dave, thank you. You're my man. I appreciate that super chat, man. His comment is, has anyone seen Army playing with the quarterback who they throw more than run? They almost beat UTSA. Watch the overs with Army for the bettors. Watch the overs. Also, GE mentioned about the article of 100 million bettors. Yeah, really good article on the 100 million bettors, and I can see if I can pull them up. Well, I don't want to read the whole thing for you guys here, but basically, here it is right here. Here it is. I love this. Where is it? The number of people who tried to log into sports betting apps over the weekend was more than 100 million people, and that was just in America. How about that? Just in America. That means 1 out of 4 Americans were trying to log into sports betting apps, which is opening the door for sports betting to take off. And that, that's kind of the highlight of that article. A lot more deeper analysis on there. What does that mean for us? What does that mean for us? As Dave said, what does that mean for us? Well, let's think about that. You're passing through the Gridiron Expert, the word of mouth, the purchase of the expert picks, even if you're not going to use the expert picks, telling someone else about the expert picks, that is what gets us going. The sports betting market is taking off significantly. And I will say that we have one of the lowest price packages in the country. And we do that for a reason. We do that because we want as many people to be able to utilize these picks and win as possible. You got some guys that are saying, I'm going to give you one pick for $60. Pay me $60, I'm going to give you one pick. We're not doing that. For $60, you're getting college football and NFL picks. You're getting 15 picks a week, every single week. And that includes every bowl game and every NFL playoff game. And in addition to all that, those picks win. 65% so far this year. Not a fluke. Over 80% of the national analysts every year. Not a fluke. It happens. That's what we're doing. So 100 million bettors, guys. You pass someone on the street. Your parents, your friends, teachers, coworkers, whoever it is. You're bound to, if you don't bet someone else is. And if you relay them to us and you get them to sign up for our picks, it helps our channel grow. They win money, and it's just really, really huge for us. The market's taking off, and I know we promote this a lot. You're probably tired of hearing it, but we do it. We do it and we stress it because that is what fuels this channel. Obviously, you subscribers and you viewers stuff help us out big time, but from a financial standpoint, that is what does it. The expert picks, the super chats, the prize picks, which again, using that promo code Gridiron through Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app, a lot of fun playing over there. $10 for the deposit over there, including I think this week their special is like, Cooper Kupp, if he has one catch with the Rams, against the Falcons, you win the money. So whatever your deposit is, you basically like double it. So sign up for that. $10 gives us a really big cut, not of your money. We're not taking your money, but $10 over at Prize Picks boosts the Gridiron Expert significantly. So make sure to go check that out. But you got to use our promo code Gridiron or the link in the description for it to really work. But Dave, thank you for your super chat. Max Todd, thank you for your super chat, man. Thank you so much. Just showing love to the nation. Dude, you're awesome. You're the best. Thank you so much, man. He says, roll Tide. Heck yeah, roll Tide. You're going to be 4-0, and then by the time you play Arkansas, I can tell you that. Max, I have a question for you. I will ask you this. Then I'm gonna scroll back up and get these other comments. But I want to ask you this, Max. And again, thank you so much for that super chat. As an Alabama fan, and this can go for Neo too, or any other Alabama fans in the chat. It's gonna sound wrong, all right? Do you ever get tired of winning? Does it ever get boring for you? I mean, you're Alabama, right? Yes, you didn't win the national championship last year. Like that, I know it hurt, stung. And you lost to A&M last year. So you lost 2 games last year. I know that's very different and shocking. Shocking for the rest of us, trust me. But does it ever get old? Traditionally, typically, you're just blowing people out left and right. Very rarely do you have many close games. It's like, like last year, for example. You played Miami last year in the season opener. I think everybody and their mother knew that Alabama was going to crush Miami. So, we were talking about other teams that, when they're bad, they're turning the game off after the first quarter. They're turning the game off at halftime because they're like, oh, my God, we're already down 30 points. It's over. Do y'all do that for Alabama? Like, hey, we're already up 30 points. There's no need to watch this anymore. Let's go to another game. We've got this game in the bag. We know we've won. Let's go watch another game. And typically, Alabama does that against most of their opponents. There are only a select few teams that can really hang with the Crimson Tide. So I'm just kidding. I really genuinely am curious about that from Max or Neo, whoever it is. It's not that you're necessarily tired of winning in the sense of God, I hope we lose. I really hope we lose. No one wants to lose, but it's now I think part of the fun for college football sometimes even if you lose a game, man, what a game. What a heck of a game. For example, last week against Texas, that was a close game. You were probably sweating that a little bit. I would have been nervous. So, do you look at that game and go, I don't know. I'm very curious as to how Alabama fans operate, because not many teams have that luxury. Not many teams have that luxury to know that almost every week we're going to be favored. We're probably going to blow out this team. I can turn off the game at halftime and be fine. Unless you're playing, typically like a Georgia, Ohio State, a playoff game, a national championship, someone elite, typically you know. So, I don't know, I'm just curious. So Neo says, no, never get tired of winning. Max says, I hate losing more than I like winning. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, obviously. Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's like the feelings I have towards losing are stronger than the feelings I have for winning, if I'm not misconstruing your words there. So I get what you're saying. That's interesting. I don't know. Like I said, not many teams have that luxury. There's those select few teams. Alabama's been a dynasty. Really since 2008. Since 2008, it's very rare to see Alabama lose, more than one game in a year. Ohio State's typically up there. Georgia has now gotten there under Kirby Smart. Clemson's been that way for a while under Dabo Swinney, of course, but Oklahoma traditionally very solid. The worst year Alabama's had since Saban took over, if you exclude 2007, was 10-3 in 2010. They won the national championship in 2009, and then went 10-3 and made the Capital One Bowl and played Michigan State. So I don't know. Thank you guys for answering my question. Kind of fun to reverse the roles a little bit. I could ask you guys a question for once. But yeah, I was just curious on how that works. So that's cool. I like that. And Max said he's, where was he? He went to Bama, right? Hold on. No, my whole family went to Bama except for you. So hey, I get that. I get the family ties, right? Still gotta say Roll Tide. wave the pom poms, and yeah, I get it. That's cool though. That's really really cool. Max, you probably told me where you went. Remind me where you went, just so I know for future reference. I know you're an Alabama fan, but you've probably told me. My apologies that I forgot. Um, but yeah, and he said the Texas game was awesome. Like you enjoyed it. Like what a game! But he goes, as long as we win, and I get that. I'll give you an example. As an Arkansas fan, last year's game against Ole Miss was one of the best games of the entire year, in my opinion. It's like 52-51. I mean, it was an unbelievable game. It was a shootout left and right. Arkansas scored a touchdown with no time left, went for two. So you're on the edge of your seat praying to God that we get this 2-point conversion, and it was incomplete. And so it was like, man, I hate losing. That was a crushing loss. I'm devastated, but also, wow, what a game. Like, what was an epic game, Much better, so it was one of those things like I dealt with it better. As I've gotten older, my old age, obviously, you can see the wrinkles and some gray hair. I get made fun of that a lot. But in my old age, I've coped with losses better than I used to, And I don't know if that's because Arkansas sucked for so long that you just kind of got used to it, or what. But I'm starting to get better with my losses. So, awesome. North Alabama. Okay, yeah, I know exactly where that is. Yeah, D2. I knew they were D2. Awesome. Very nice. University of North Alabama. Sweet, Max. That's really cool, man. I love it. So whole family. So still staying in the state though. Okay, so family went to Bama, but staying in the state. Very nice. But all right, cool. I'm glad I got to ask that question. I'm gonna scroll back up. I'm gonna come back. Well, you know what? We'll see. I'm gonna scroll back up, come back down as quick as I can. But Max, thank you again for that super chat. Dave, thank you for the super chat. BGPO Football Funk, thank you for that super chat. I mean, boom, just like that, guys. I mean, $33 doesn't sound like a lot, but I know CCD threw one up there earlier, so it's like $35. I mean, we've getting close to $40 tonight, and that's not too bad for a little bit worth a little over an hour worth of work. So I mean, the more we get, the better. Whether it's a sale, a super chat, whatever, it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you. Let's see. Really want to get back down to the comments that we had down there. That was a really good comment. Michael A, thank you so much, man. Very well deserved for 10K. I appreciate it so much. The support again does not go unnoticed. And I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's see. Texas A&M and Miami, as I'm scrolling through here. That's going to be a great game. Eli, I will address your statement as well. I want to talk about A&M Miami as I try to get caught up. Let's see. We're going to talk about the Sun Belt here in a second. Robert Sharpton, shout out to you. Thanks for being here tonight, man. Glad to see you. So Eli's talking about the Sun Belt and Texas, A&M, Miami. And all right, and we are caught up. Although Angie says, I'm tired of Alabama winning. I just wish them the best until they play Arkansas. Woo Pig Suey, 15-0. Man, you can only hope, right? I sure hope so. The Gamecock says, we've never had the luxury of constantly winning. South Carolina had some good years in there. Spurrier had you guys competing. Back in 2010 was a really good year. 2010, 2011, 2012, 13. I mean, those years were really good for South Carolina. I mean, what was it? One year they were up as high as number 3 in the country at one point, number 5 in the country. They never made a BCS caliber bowl though, did they? He only consistently made like Capital One, Outback Bowl, things like that. But I mean, a couple 11-win seasons for South Carolina. Can't complain. So I do want to talk about A&M Miami as we slowly wrap things up tonight as we head into that. But I will get back to that. But Max, very cool. I didn't realize you went to. I didn't realize you were there for playing baseball. Super cool. First baseman on a baseball scholarship at the University of North Alabama. And he says he was there in the 80s. He's letting my age get out. I love it. Hey, we support everybody here. Young, old, in the middle. Very cool, man. I had no idea. That's super neat. First baseman at UNA. That's awesome. That's so cool. So I guess I should have to factor in that, Max. Are you still in Alabama, and do you ever go do you ever support your alma mater? I mean, obviously, if Tuscaloosa is nearby you, you probably would go to more Alabama games, I'm sure, but do you ever go to North Alabama games just for the heck of it? Just say, hey, go support the team. Because they go back and forth. They're if I'm not mistaken, they sometimes, not always, have a pretty decent team at UNA. So just curious. But as we're talking about that, and as I talk about a couple up here, I do want to just briefly touch on. Hey, what's up, Teen Raider? Good to see you. Nice to have you. Love the fire emoji, man. I love it. Texas A&M Miami. We put that prediction video out today. So if you haven't watched the prediction for the Aggies and the Hurricanes, go watch it, because I think our analysis and some of the points we make may surprise you a little bit. But what's going to happen with that game? Sam asked earlier. He said, "Do you think Texas A&M, some of their star freshmen, might start to transfer out if they keep losing?" As we mentioned, A&M again. Possibly, probably won't, but possibly could start the year at 1-5. They have Miami, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Alabama as their next 4 games and have already lost to Appalachian State. That game, guys, again, is very similar to a lot of games we're going to see in Week 3. There are a lot of games in Week 3 that's going to be the first true test for a lot of teams. This is the first technically true test for Miami and A&M, even though the Aggies already lost to App State. This is the first test against like a Power 5 team, a ranked opponent. The Washington-Michigan State game, first true test for those teams. That's going to be a very big one there. Guys, another game I'm trying to think of that we had on Texas Tech and NC State, first true test really for NC State, not so much for Texas Tech. Penn State and Auburn, first true test for both, though Penn State does have that road win at Purdue. So we're going to get to learn a lot about these teams in Week 3. Whether or not it transitions to a bunch of upsets like we saw last week, that remains to be seen, but we are going to learn a lot this weekend. For A&M Miami, what this is going to tell me is whether or not A&M still deserve to be ranked. I think a lot of people were surprised they stayed in the rankings. If they beat Miami, they proved to me that they were worthy and that maybe they were that was a fluke last week against App State. But if Miami wins, it's going to show me they should be taken seriously on the national stage, right? They're 13th in the country. A win over Texas A&M would probably get them close or in the top 10. Depends on how they do it. Even though they are the higher ranked team, Miami is still an underdog in this game, and it's still a night game in College Station. That is not an easy place to play. It would show that Miami should be taken seriously. They're clearly the front runner in the Coastal, and that if they can run the table, maybe even beat Clemson, they do place off in Death Valley this year, could flirt with playoff eligibility, although we don't want to go that far yet to get too far ahead of ourselves. It's going to be a big test for a young Miami team, too. I mean, this is probably going to be the toughest environment that Tyler Van Dyke has faced in his young career. So can Tyler Van Dyke in this Miami offense get something going against this Texas A&M defense? Conversely, Texas A&M's offense has been abysmal the last 2 weeks. They struggled against Sam Houston. Go watch our video to find out exactly how bad they struggled. And then obviously last week against App State, they struggled. They did not eclipse 100 yards rushing. They did not eclipse 100 yards passing. They were bad. They were putrid. They only had 9 first downs. They committed 2 turnovers. They missed the game-tying field goal. I mean, they could get nothing going offensively against Appalachian State. And I'm here to tell you that Miami's defense, from a size and speed standpoint, is better than App State. They really are. And so if A&M couldn't move the ball effectively against App State, what makes you think they can do it against Miami? So a lot going into that game there. We're going to learn a lot about both teams. But as we mentioned earlier, the fate of A&M's season rests in the hands of Miami. The fate of A&M's season rests on this one game. If they can beat Miami, the season's still alive. They don't have a conference loss yet. One loss, maybe they can start turning the ship around. Miami, they lose to them, still don't have a conference loss, but you got 2 losses, so your playoff hopes are done. They're pretty much done after the loss to App State, but if magically they won out, they'd get in. But 2 loss, you're out. Your morale goes down. You recognize what's ahead of you, and I think if they lose Miami, Texas A&M just boom nosedives and really, really struggles the rest of the year. And then you begin to question the future of these big-time recruits. You begin to question the future of Jimbo Fisher. So much goes into this one game on Saturday night, which is why it is really high on my list to watch on Saturday. So yeah, talked about that. A lot of people were talking about the Sun Belt, how great they've been doing. Someone asked, I think it was Todd Campbell asking. He said, Do you think there'll be a group of a Power Five conference? No, absolutely not. That is a bit of a stretch. Conference realignment is taking things over, but the Sun Belt is nowhere near a Power Five conference or replacing a conference. Let's think about it, guys. Who else do they have? Marshall and App State both had big wins over top 10 teams. Congratulations. That doesn't make you a Power 5 team. Doesn't make you a Power 5 conference. Georgia Southern, yes, beat Nebraska on the road. Congratulations. That's 3 conference members that got good wins. Doesn't make you an elite conference by any means. Arkansas State is still struggling a little bit. Held their own against Ohio State. More respectable than people thought, but ASU's still in there. Sun Belt's solid. Okay, they're solid. Arkansas State's not horrible. Georgia State's pretty good. Coastal Carolina's pretty good. But from a consistency standpoint, we're not seeing these teams consistently beating up on Power 5 teams. We're not consistently seeing these members being ranked. They've expanded, obviously added James Madison. They added Marshall. They added, I think, Southern Miss. So they added some new teams in there, but far from being a Power 5 team. And as conference realignment really starts to take place, we're going to see some members of the American moving to the Big 12. Who knows what's going to happen out west with the Pac-12? So many big changes coming forward and coming soon with the conferences. They're never going to be classified as a Power 5. It's just not going to happen. But it has been more respectable. As Eli said up there a second ago, they were once pegged as the worst conference in all of college football. Now they are certainly far from that. Very far from that. All right, catching up here. Catching up. Where am I? Golly, there's a lot of comments. I missed a little bit. Bob Littleton, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Glad to have you out here tonight. I know we're about to slowly wrap things up, but Bob, I'm glad you were able to join us at least for a little bit. Let's see. Eli is back in Maryland. I like that. Jerry is in Syracuse. That's pretty freaking awesome. He went to Syracuse and now lives there. That's really, really cool. Scotty's here now. He was at the coaches show, which included Dave Aranda and the women's soccer coach. That's pretty awesome. I tell you what, Scott, I'm amazed, man. I really am. You go to all of the Baylor sporting events and every little event they put on, regardless of what it is. Regardless of the sport, regardless of the coach's show, whatever it is, you're there, and I admire that. Talk about literally, I think maybe the biggest fan of any team that I've ever met or talked to. When you hear super fan, I think of Scott at Baylor, which is awesome. Kudos to you, man. I love it. Talk about that Baylor pride, man. Hunter Shin, top candidates for Nebraska's head coach. Did they fire him too early in the season? The buyout would have been reduced. Yeah. Why not wait? That was my whole logic. Here's the thing. We talked about Nebraska possibly upsetting Oklahoma. It's probably not going to happen. So you fired. You knew you were probably going to lose to Oklahoma. If you waited to the beginning of October, you cut the buyout in half. So I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Your season's done. You're, with or without Scott Frost, you're probably going to lose to Oklahoma, so you're going to be 1-3. That result wasn't going to change. So why not wait till October to fire him and save yourself some money and use that money on your next head coach? It just didn't make any sense. I don't think they fired him too early in the season in the sense of I think as soon as October hit, as soon as midnight October 1st hit, fire him, get him out. But it just didn't make any sense. So my top candidates, I'm going to be honest with you, Hunter, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people talking about Mark Stoops over at Kentucky, thinking that he would be and he's been a hot name for a while. To go and win consistently at Kentucky, who was just a dumpster fire before he got there. They were solid back in 2007. That was about it. But was just struggling so bad. And now has them in the top 10, had them in the top 10 a few years ago, has 2 10-win seasons. Doing a phenomenal job. If you can win at Kentucky, you can definitely win at Nebraska, in my opinion. And obviously, I really feel like Nebraska needs a big name coach. They either need one of the top coordinators in the nation, a big name coordinator like a Brent Venables. Not saying they're going to go get Brent Venables, but when Oklahoma hired him, he was a guy that had never been a head coach, but everybody knew who Brent Venables was, and everybody goes, "Yeah, that's a good hire. That was a really good hire." They don't need to go out there and take a risk on some guy. You were a pretty good coordinator at James Madison, come be the head coach of Nebraska. No, 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 no. Nebraska needs to hire someone big, someone that's going to get the fan base excited and give them hope and faith that they can turn that program around. I think Mark Stoops would be the guy. I also wonder who's going to leave, right? Like which coach would leave to go take that over? Nebraska is a very historic school. They've got great history. They've got great passion, great fans. They're a blue blood program, so being the head coach of them would be an honor. But who wants to go inherit what's been a dumpster fire for like the last 4 years? So it's going to take a special guy to come over there and do that. Mark Stoops is the only name that comes to mind right now. I highly doubt he'll take it. He's got a pretty sweet gig at Kentucky, but I don't know. Bo Pelini, bring back Bo Pelini. That'd be fun, but probably not. Max Todd, why is Texas A&M ranked and Mississippi State isn't? What a joke. Hey, I'm just saying, we ranked Mississippi State in our rankings and didn't have A&M ranked. So you want the real rankings, the ones that make sense. Take out the GU rankings. That is where it's at. I agree. It doesn't make any sense, Max. A&M should have fallen completely out. The only reason A&M was kept in there is because the AP is almost told what to do, almost by the TV networks, and it's a matter of they knew Texas A&M was playing Miami this Saturday, and so they knew if they dropped A&M out, when you see advertisements for Miami, Texas A&M, and both those teams don't have a number beside their name, it doesn't look that good. It doesn't. It doesn't look as sexy and as attractive, and I go, ooh, that's a must-watch game, a top 25 matchup. It's all about the ranked versus ranked matchups. So they purposely kept Texas A&M just for that point, just for that reason. That's the only reason they're still in. They're not a top 25 team. They're not. But they did that for the sake of ratings. They did that for the sake of TV and for viewership, for what it looks like. It's eye candy. All about eye candy. Mississippi State, we had them ranked 24th. I believe they are a top 25 team or a top 25 team above Texas A&M. And they can continue to prove that to me if they take down LSU and Death Valley on Saturday. Eli agreeing. A&M should not be ranked. The rankings make no sense. Again, if you want rankings that make sense, be here 1 o'clock p.m. every single Monday for our own GE rankings. We get the AP, GE, 2 letters. You get what we're doing. Those are the rankings that make sense. And again, we don't expect you to agree with them and be like, oh, you're right on every single one. We don't expect, that's the beauty of rankings, is debate. But what we do that the AP doesn't do is we take every single factor into account. We could care less about ranked versus ranked matchups. I don't care who's playing primetime ESPN, primetime CBS. I'm going to rank the teams that deserve to be ranked, at least that we think deserve to be ranked. I'm going to rank them based on the results. I'm going to rank them based on, margin of victory. I'm going to rank them based on what I actually watched in the game. I think a lot of people don't even do that. I think a lot of people, when you're ranking teams, you go, oh, they won. Moving on. Did you watch the game? To give you an example, what if there was a game where the team was up 40-14 in the fourth quarter? 40-14. So you were up 26 points, right? 26 points. And, that team takes the foot off the gas a little bit. And so instead of winning the game 40-14, they win the game 40-30, 40-31. They were never in danger really of losing that game. But if you're just going through the schedule and you go, oh, wow, the number 7 team only beat this unranked team 40-31. Man, that was a close game. Well, no, it wasn't. If you actually watched, or really all you had to do is click the link to look at the box score, you would realize, 40-31, but a lot of those touchdowns were kind of scored in garbage time. Or, that was when their second string was in. Okay, not that big. They were up 40-14. Yeah, they're clearly the better team, right? But the AP doesn't even do that. The Associated Press are the guys that go to bed on the East Coast and don't watch the games out West because they're too tired. Oh, I'm not going to vote for Christian McCaffrey in the Heisman race because, I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch his games because I'm on the East Coast and he plays late at night out West. So I don't know much about him because I don't watch his games. Therefore, I'm not going to vote for him. What? Or, I didn't watch Pac-12 After Dark, so I'm not going to put this team in my rankings because I didn't see him play. or I'm going to move them down in my rankings because it looked like they only won the game by 14. That's pretty close for me. I didn't watch it. What the hell? Let's just move them down a couple spots or move them up 20 spots like they do for USC and Florida and crap. I mean, where does the logic come in? All you got to do is watch the games and just do a little bit of research. That's all it takes. But the Associated Press and your experts and analysts out there don't do that. They just don't. They're lazy. They're lazy. They're lazy. They don't care about the game. They don't care about the game. They care about eye candy. And they care about ratings. And I get it's a business and all that. Insert expletive here. But I can't say certain things on YouTube. Unless I'd love to. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So you guys, I agree with it. Why is A&M ranked? It's for eye candy. Why, did Florida jump all the way to 12th? Well, it's for eye candy and bias. Why is USC in the top 10? Well, it's because of bias and name brand. Why is Texas a top 25 team after losing to Alabama? Keep in mind, they lost the game and still moved to 21st, not even 25th, not barely into the top 25, moved up to 21st over teams that were either already in it or deserved it more. Why are they in there? Name brand. I mean, it's all about the name brand. And I'm going to tell you right here, we don't give a rat's ass about name brand here at the Gridiron Expert. I could care less about who the name brand is. We don't rank your team because you were a blue blood program back in the 1990s or the 1980s. We don't rank you because of that. We don't rank you because you've had 20 or 30 NFL draft picks in the last 40 years. Congratulations. And Alabama produces that in about 2. We don't rank you based on results from last season. We don't do that, right? We rank you based on what we're seeing now, what happens. And we watch the games and we do the research. That's what we put into our GE rankings. And that's why, for us, they're always going to be better than the AP poll, and they're certainly going to be better than the College Football Playoff Committee, because let me tell you one thing. The committee is a big load of crap. They go in there and say they're unbiased. They sit there and they put on their little white jackets to show that they have, stripped themselves clean of their loyalty to their schools, because it's mostly made up of alums or athletic directors or players or something. It's a big load of crap. It's political. It is biased. They don't do the research. And you've got a committee made up of about 14 people in there that don't know a lick about college football. Let's keep that in mind too. Your committee chairs or athletic directors. We had one time Condoleezza Rice, who was a politician. She was on the committee. I mean, we've got guys in there that really are just fans. They're just fans. And whether or not they say they've stripped themselves of their loyalty and their bias, they're lying to you. Because let me tell you something. Do you really think that, let's hypothetically, you toss in the Texas AD as a committee member? Do you think there's not a part of him that's like, I'm not going to rank Texas A&M that high. I'm not going to rank Oklahoma that high. They're rivals. Do you really think that's not in the back of their head and that's working into how they operate? No, it's not. Can't strip them of their bias, guys, which is why the committee is flawed, which is why we should do one of two things. We should either, one, go back to a computer system. I wasn't opposed to the BCS. Give me a 12-team playoff based on the BCS. Might be better than whatever these idiots are putting out there. Or, if you don't want to do that, make the committee people that are competent and understand the game. Put the big analysts in there. Put the guys in there that watch every game, from the midweek Maction to the Pac-12 after dark. Those are the guys that deserve to rank the teams. Those are the guys that should determine the future of college football. Not these mega super fans, these over-glorified athletic directors that think they're high and mighty for being promoted to the College Football Playoff Committee. It's a joke. The AP is a joke. And unfortunately, none of those two things will ever change. And so that's why, for the remainder of however long this channel will last, we will always be giving you our rankings. We'll talk about the AP on the live streams, and we'll bash it and tell you how wrong they are. Again, our rankings are far from perfect. Far from perfect. We know they're not. We don't expect them to be. We don't expect you guys to agree with every single thing we put out there, whether it's a prediction or a ranking. That's the beauty of college football. We don't have to agree. We can civilly debate. But I can promise you that the GE rankings will always be better and more thought out and more intricate and professional than that of any other poll that you will find in the entire country. Excuse that rant. I was with a lot of built up, pent up anger and emotion towards these, media members and playoff committee members. It's very, very frustrating that that's how these teams deserve. They get to be ranked, and that actually some of these guys get to determine what bowl games and what teams get into the playoff, because it's a very flawed system in my eyes. Very, very flawed system. So, got that out of my system. I can sleep well now. Cash Money's here. Cash Money, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. He says BYU's going to win by 11. 11 over Oregon. That's going to be a big one. I like that. Like that pick. Let's see. Cash Money says BYU's toughest opponent left is Arkansas. I like that. I like that comment too. Very cool. Arkansas, the biggest test left for them. I mean, honestly, maybe so. I mean, Oregon on the road will not be tough by any means, but you got Oregon on the road, Notre Dame, not as good as we thought they'd be. Arkansas, probably so. Arkansas could easily be a top 10, top 15 team by the time they face off in Provo, so I like that. Very, very cool. Let's see. New Mexico Noah says Deion Sanders for Nebraska head coach. I don't think Deion would leave for Nebraska. I think that'd be a very risky pick as a head coach, too, for Nebraska. He would be getting a step up to a big-name school, but I don't think he wants that. I think if Deion's going to go, he's going to go to Florida State, something like that. I feel like that's where he would end up going. But talk about being able to recruit well at Nebraska. He would be able to do that, and that'd be a big name, but I don't think that's the type of big name that Nebraska wants from the standpoint of consistent winning. He's done all right at Jackson State, but hasn't done anything crazy. Let's see. Dave saying, yeah, it's all about the Benjamins. It's all about the money. All about the money for sure. Nicholas Rozak, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for that comment. We're working on a studio. Hopefully one day we'll have a much better setup. Again, that's why super chats and expert pick subscriptions like that's what funnels that. That's what helps funnel the that money we pump into this channel, right? So we want to be able to spend it on cameras and mics and lights and maybe a studio. Who knows? Having a much cooler setup than what we've got now. I mean, we're working towards that. We really are. So Nicholas, I appreciate that. Angie Lassiter, thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate you. Love having you in the chat with us every chance we get. So thank you so much. Again, $2 to the naked eyes. I'm gonna go. It's nothing to us. We're like, boom, yes, thank you, very, very much. So Angie, thank you for that. And again, every bit counts. I appreciate you. Michael Brennan, Oregon State, Montana State. Who would win? Oregon State. Although Montana State not a pushover, not a pushover at all. Let's see. Anthony James, USC is in on the chat. I love it, man. Awesome. Glad Anthony could pop in for a little bit out on the West Coast. And hey, Hunter, you're probably gone. You're probably gone by now, but appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for all your support. Have a great night, and we'll definitely talk to you soon. You, Anthony, guys like that have been here for such a long time. Graham Brooks, you guys are really frequent commenters on the normal videos, and love getting to talk ball with you guys. So thank you so much for that. Let's see. Bruce Matson, do I play Devi Fantasy, Developmental Dynasty, where you roster college players? I do not. I have actually never done that. I've only done NFL, only the ESPN NFL Fantasy. But that does I know it exists. I do know it exists. I've just never done it. Chris Standing Bear says Greta Thunberg for playoff committee. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, might as well. She seems to know it all. Angie Lassiter says, I'm a college football fan. Can I be on the committee? Hey, sure, why not? Angie, you'd probably be better than half the talking heads out there. I can tell you that. Oh my god, I love that. I love that comment. Yeah, Greta Thunberg and Condoleezza Rice. Let's put them in there and let's see who our Final Four is going to be. Wouldn't that be something? All right, where are we at? Where are we at? Anthony says, to find unbiased opinions is going to be tough. There's an SEC bias among most analysts. And there is. That's the thing. It's hard to be unbiased, with your school. It's hard to be unbiased, against your rivals. It's hard to be unbiased against, especially for the network guys. You got guys ESPN, CBS, Fox, the bigger conferences that are funneling your channels. I mean, there is a lot of bias among analysts for the SEC because they got a lot of SEC, alums in the studio. Guys that went to these big SEC schools. You got a whole SEC network. Got guys on ESPN that are there. I mean, Kirk Herbstreit, great guy, great analyst. There's probably a little bit of Ohio State bias there. I mean, I think he does a pretty good job of hiding it. But, as an analyst, you've got to be able to say, look, I went to this school, or I've been a fan of the school, I support them, I always will, but for the sake of my job, or for the sake of my prediction, or for the sake of being on a committee, whatever, I can put my bias aside because I can see when a team's good. I can admit when I'm wrong. I can admit when my team is not good and doesn't deserve to be ranked, or you know what I'm saying? Like, Ohio State, for Kirk, he really hasn't had to worry too much about that because Ohio State hasn't gone through many struggles. So when Kirk says, yeah, Ohio State's my top 4, it's like, yeah, okay. Like, I'm not going to be like, you're biased. That's wrong of you. Because, yeah, Ohio State is a top 4 team. But you got a guy in there that goes, like last year, Arkansas is in my top 4. Whoa, no, you're biased. I mean, come on. There's a difference there. There's definitely a difference there. But there is a lot of bias among most analysts, and that's really frustrating. Doggy, you said there was a GE poll in the previous stream. Is there actually a poll? I mean, not like out nationally, like you're not going to find it on ESPN or anything. But I mean, yeah, we put out our own GE poll here on the channel. We do a video every Monday, Sunday or Monday. Typically on Mondays, we are putting our own rankings, our own GE poll. So we release our own top 25 based on our thoughts and how we have watched the games and interpret things. No bias towards any team or any conference. We don't go, oh, I don't know about that USC game. I was asleep. I didn't watch that. No, we watch it. We look at the box scores. We understand the whole aspect. So, yeah. There's not one like actually out there nationally, but there is always one here on the channel. Yes. And Swiss Whiskey, thank you very much. I enjoy getting that out of my system. It was a little fun rant. Just sharing the emotions. Cash Money says I should go coach for Nebraska. I mean, I applied a couple years ago for the Arkansas job. I really did. I submitted an application and called them up and was told I wasn't qualified. Can y'all believe that? They said I didn't have enough experience. Can y'all believe I didn't get the Arkansas job? I did it after they fired Brett Bielema, so I tried to get the job before Chad Morris. I personally fully believe that I would have been better. 100%. I think a toddler could have been better than Chad Morris. Then I applied for it after Chad Morris was fired and said, look, I applied, beforehand. Y'all made a really bad mistake. How about you don't make the same mistake twice? Bring me in. And then they hired Sam Pittman. Can you believe that? I mean, how ridiculous. Just cannot believe that. But yeah, Anthony says Scott Frost, Texas A&M as OC next year. Now, that would be something, wouldn't it? I do like it when coaches bring in former head coaches as their coordinators. I think there's something to be said for that. Because while they're not the head coach, you're bringing in a guy, even if they were bad, you're still bringing in a guy that has run a program, has experience running a program, obviously was good enough to earn that head coaching job in the first place, knows how to recruit. So Scott Frost will find himself back as a coordinator somewhere, or he could find himself as assistant to the head coach at Alabama, because Nick Saban tends to love doing that. I mean, I think it was on College Game Day, a great little video out there about coaches that have gotten their second chances from Nick Saban. Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Butch Jones, Mike Locksley, all those guys that, had head coaching gigs at one point, were fired. Nick Saban swooped in, picked him up, made him a coordinator, made him an assistant, made him an analyst, whatever. And then through Nick Saban, you got another head coaching gig. Butch Jones now at Arkansas State, Locksley at Maryland, Sarkisian at Texas, Kiffin at Ole Miss. Some jobs bigger than others for sure, but regardless, still a head coach, which is ultimately the goal for everyone, is to be able to run your program and be the boss. Eli, yes, I still work and live in Arkansas. Correct. I sure do. Lennon says Arkansas will lose to Missouri State. That's hot. That is a really hot take. He said he's just saying stuff, though, so it doesn't matter. I do like that game a lot, though, with the Bobby Petrino connection. That's going to be really fun. Doggy, can you vote in the poll? Right now, we are not doing that. But what I will say is this. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it. But when the time comes, when they start putting out playoff rankings, that'll be like late October, early November, when the playoff committee starts releasing their rankings. Obviously, we're going to start doing ours, which our rankings aren't going to change. It's not going to be like, right now, I'm just looking, I got it right here. Right now, we have, Arkansas. Let's use them at number 9, right? They're number 10 in the AP poll. We have them at number 9. It's not like when the AP poll comes around, we're going to go, oh, they're going to jump from 9th to 2nd. If they're still winning, that's not how it's going to work. So I'd like to get it to where we can actually have some involvement, engagement from you guys in our polls. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to happen. For the next few weeks, that won't be the case, but maybe by the time playoff time rolls around, I'd like to find a way to incorporate that to really have the GE poll. And really, we might do a whole live stream where we allow you guys to rank them, help us rank the top 25, getting your takes and everything. So excited to do that. For sure. Let's see here. Waves on swim. Chad Morris recruited KJ Jefferson and let him waste on the bench. Sometimes it takes the right coach to recognize the talent. Chad Morris did not. Thank goodness KJ stayed. That's the biggest thing. Thank goodness Jefferson stayed at Arkansas. And as Angie said, thank goodness he did waste him, because otherwise he could have ruined KJ. And that's very true too. Could have, taken a couple of years off his eligibility. Might not still be with the Razorbacks right now. Could have hurt him and definitely wouldn't have developed him as well as Sam Pittman and Kendall Briles have these last few years. 100%. Last few comments here. Swiss Whiskey. Remember when Ty Story came in and threw 500 yards and like a dozen touchdowns against Chad Morris in Arkansas? Do I remember? Yes. Do I like to remember? No. We like to wipe those memories away from, out of our mind. Those days are hopefully gone for a long time from Arkansas. Cash Money says Florida State takes down Louisville 31-21. I like it. 10-point victory for Florida State. I know you're Florida State and BYU guys, so it would be a pretty banner weekend if they get a quality conference win and BYU stays a top 15 team with a road win at Oregon, which would be really, really tough. So that'll be a fun one. New Mexico Noah says North Dakota State over Arizona this Saturday. I agree. I picked North Dakota State a couple months ago in our preseason predictions. I'm going to stand by that. Arizona has looked better than I thought, but North Dakota State is still the number 1 team in the FCS, in it for good reason. They are going to, I think, be able to shut down Arizona. It's going to be a much closer game out west than people realize. Good pick, Noah and Anthony James. Washington, Michigan State, a top matchup this weekend. Fans need to watch. I fully agree. That is a game that is flying under the radar. The 11th ranked team in the country is a 3.5-point favorite, a 3.5-point underdog to Washington, who's not even ranked. That's one of those games that we talked about earlier, is a battle between two teams that neither have really been tested. The game's in Seattle, not an easy place to play at all. Michael Penix and Kalen DeBoer have been a phenomenal duo so far. That Washington offense has been phenomenal. The defense has been strong per usual. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see how these two teams fare in their first test against each other. But there's a very good chance that at least we have one big unranked team upsetting a ranked team, because I did predict Washington to beat Michigan State. And that's going to be a game that's a lot closer and competitive and could be shocking if you don't know all the details. So keep an eye on that game for sure on Saturday night. So having said that, guys, knocking out 2 hours, we are going to conclude this live stream. I will tell you now, sadly, we will not have a morning live stream tomorrow. No morning live stream tomorrow. Typically, we do morning live streams at 8 a.m. We had a conflict pop up in the morning that we will be unable to attend, to be unable to do one with you guys. So no morning live stream tomorrow at 8 a.m., but we will have our BYU-Oregon video out tomorrow afternoon. On Friday, we will have our Oklahoma-Nebraska video out, so stay tuned for that. So we still have 2 more videos left for you guys this week before we dump right back in to all the games on Saturday. So still a lot of content left for you guys. And again, we're in a good time for football, guys. From college and NFL, we have 5 straight days of football pretty much every day now until the end of the year. Thursday night football, always games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You know the drill. It's going to be amazing. So No live streaming tomorrow. Again, we will be back here on Monday morning, 8 a.m. Monday morning, 8 a.m. with another live stream. But in between then, obviously, plenty of content from normal videos and plenty of discussion in the comment section for sure. So, guys, thank you all so much for another fantastic night here at the Gridiron Expert. We cannot thank you guys enough, genuinely, for all of your support. Again, word of mouth. Share the videos, share the stream, share the videos, spread the word to help us build the channel, guys, and build the nation. That is what we have to do. And Eli, yes, high school games on Friday night. Obviously, that counts in the 5 days, so for sure. But you guys have a great night. Max, Eli, Anthony, Neo, Swiss Whiskey, Robert Sharpton, Doggy, Angie Lassiter. Thank you again for that super chat. I really appreciate that. And as always, Woo Pig Suey, right? Jerry Turner, I appreciate you. Cash Money, Dave, New Mexico Noah, LM, Neo, I think I said that. If not, Waves on Swim, Scotty, Lennon. I try to give everybody as many shout outs as possible, man. I really do. Can't get everybody, but Stephen Cuffey, good to see you, man. Anthony James, of course, appreciate you as always. Hunter Shin, Hunter5657, CCD, and everybody else that was able to join our chat tonight. We cannot thank you guys enough. And again, really, really appreciate you. So having said that, you guys have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the content tomorrow and Friday, and enjoy your college football Saturday because it is going to be another great one. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you back here again on Monday morning. You guys have a great night.